One man from southern Kentucky faces charges in connection with the deaths of 2 children. And parents in one Kentucky county say back to school was botched in their district this year.
And temperatures are below average this afternoon, but the heat is not far away. Your first alert forecast coming up as Mountain News First at 4 continues.
Mountain News First at 4 continues.
A southern Kentucky man is now facing charges in connection to the deaths of 2 children. Jordan Taylor was charged with killing his girlfriend's daughter back in February. That crime happened in Whitley County. Now Taylor is charged with killing a 6-month-old that prosecutors say was his own son. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has been gathering details on this today and has more from Clay County.
It'll be somewhat of a legal juggling act when the cases involving Jordan Taylor are tried in 2 separate cases in 2 different southern Kentucky counties, one in Whitley County and one here in Clay County. Taylor was arrested when police in Whitley County say he caused horrific, deadly injuries to his girlfriend's daughter, 3-year-old Amora Smallwood. The girl's mother was also charged, but information gathered during that investigation led to another child death case, with the accusations being that Taylor had caused the death of his own 6-month-old son 3 years earlier at a Manchester home. Gary Gregory is the Commonwealth's attorney and says when the child died, there was a lot of speculation, but not enough to arrest anyone until the Whitley County case progressed. The indictment states that the child was smothered to death. The motive is not clear.
I'm back to square one. Why? Why? You can understand sometimes if you got people fighting and those fights escalate into matters that causes somebody to take action that they maybe later regret, but I'm back to square one again. A 6-month-old child with a life in front of him.
Jordan Taylor does remain in the Whitley County Jail. He will be answering to these charges in Clay County on the next rule date. That is expected here in Manchester sometime in the next few weeks. In Clay County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
Taylor will be back in court on the Whitley County charges on Monday. Well, speaking of Whitley County, that county continues work to combat the opioid epidemic. Yesterday, the Commonwealth's attorney there announced their first homicide conviction in an overdose death. A judge sentenced a man who admitted to selling drugs to a victim that resulted in their death. Jessica Umbro talked with the Commonwealth's attorney about the conviction.
Commonwealth Attorney Ronnie Bowling says Whitley County is a community that has been gripped by opioids in the past, and now fentanyl has led his office to being zero tolerance with drug-related crimes.
I'm not naive enough to say I'm going to fix the drug problem. I know better. But our job is to fight it as aggressively as we can head on.
Bowling says fentanyl has tightened its grip on Whitley County.
This is a wonderful community. I mean, I live here by choice. It's a wonderful place to raise a family, excellent school systems, a very tight-knit, close community that you can really call home for your family and your extended family. And fentanyl has done its part in destroying that.
And the message to fentanyl dealers is if you sell it to someone for their last time, it'll lead to jail time.
If you're dealing in fentanyl, you will face homicide charges if you cause deaths in this community.
That's what's happened to Bruce Hudson. He pleaded guilty to second-degree manslaughter and drug charges after a victim he sold drugs to died as a result. Bowling says the tight community makes it hard for sellers to hide.
We're still a small community. If you're known as a fentanyl dealer, it's kind of hard to rest easy here because law enforcement knows to look at you at all times.
And that despite the conviction being the first in the county, there's no time for celebration.
Because at the end of the day, it's really nice to, say we got a conviction and it's the first of its kind and hopefully many more to follow, but a family still buried a loved one.
In Williamsburg, Jessica Umbro, WKYT.
While Hudson will still have to serve the last half of his sentence, Bowling tells us this is not a standard sentence and will change from defendant to defendant.
We are still watching out for a few spotty showers across the mountains into this afternoon. However, we are tracking some drier air to return as we go into tonight, but a few more spotty sprinkles out there right now. Zooming into a few sprinkles not too far away from Pikeville and Pike County, also stretching into Floyd and Knott County as well, and a few more light to moderate showers now, kind of where Perry, Leslie, Harlan, and Letcher counties all come together there. Close to Pine Mountain, also US 119 at Cumberland, a few more heavier showers there. And a few more light to moderate showers in Knox County, also stretching into portions of Bell County right now as well. Now, it was a soggy day out there. Most of us looking at some pretty beneficial rainfall like we talked about last night. Areas along and south of the Howard Rogers Parkway picking up on 1 to possibly 2 inches of rain early this morning. So some beneficial rain there, but we are tracking some drier air. As we go into tonight, a small chance of a few spotty showers this evening. Drying out though by tonight. Temperatures fall into the middle 60s as you wake up on Friday. The big story tonight, that dense fog as you wake up and walk out the door. But still, a few more spotty storm chances this weekend and early next week. Those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Cameron, thank you. Most schools across Kentucky are back in session this week, but it's been a rough start to the school year for some parents in Jefferson County who were left waiting hours for their children to get dropped off. Some parents say they waited as long as 2 hours or more for their kids to be let out of school. Bus delays are getting the blame.
There's going to be delays. It's going to take some time. But what I can assure families of, that will continue to lessen and reduce as we go along in the next week to 2 weeks.
That district has also moved some bus stops further from the homes where students live. The online shopping app Instacart has announced they are now accepting food stamps in all 50 states. That means customers can now buy groceries online with SNAP benefits. Instacart previously launched a pilot program in Alaska with Safeway stores. It has now expanded to more than 10,000 stores across the country. Officials with the United States Department of Agriculture say more than 42 million people are enrolled in SNAP. There was more court action in Florida in former President Trump's classified documents case. Trump, as well as his personal valet, pleaded not guilty to new charges, while his property manager had his arraignment postponed. CBS's Christian Benavidez has more from the courthouse in Fort Pierce.
This was an arraignment on new charges related to the classified documents case against former President Trump, his personal valet, Walt Nauta, and the Mar-a-Lago property manager, Carlos de Oliveira. Both the former president and Nauta entered their not guilty pleas. Mr. Trump did not appear in court. He waived his appearance, but Nauta was there. Carlos de Oliveira did not have Florida counsel for the second time, and his arraignment was postponed. In Florida, you must have local counsel present. His D.C. attorney, John Irving, told the judge they've identified local counsel but have not yet secured it. We asked Irving about that as he left the courthouse.
Mr. Irving, why no Florida counsel yet? Can you explain what happened?
I'll have more to say after Mr. de Oliveira is acquitted.
The new charges are in connection to allegations that all 3 co-defendants conspired to attempt to hide security footage from the special counsel's office. A new hearing for Mr. de Oliveira is set for next Tuesday. Christian Benavidez, CBS News, Fort Pierce, Florida.
Coming up on First at 4, new numbers concerning inflation are showing the problem got a little worse last month.
And a few showers are possible this evening, but higher storm chances for the weekend and early next week. Those details on the way.